Coach, thanks so much for joining us on the call today. If you would take a minute to tie up the somewhat historic win against Delaware State and tell us what you expect to see as you take to the road to face UConn in the conference opener for you, please.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. You know, obviously it was a good win for us on Saturday, especially coming after a bye week and coming after a tough loss to Navy 2 weeks before. So I thought for our kids it was a great day for them to be able to score really in all three phases, to score on special teams, to score on defense, and to score on offense. Was something we hadn't done. It was great to see a lot of kids get a chance to play. I think every kid in our program, I know every kid in our program that isn't redshirting had a chance to get in the football game who's not injured. So I think, coming out of that game, we now really turn our attention to our first conference game, a team we have a tremendous amount of respect for, and the Connecticut Huskies. We've had, since I've been here in 2006, just a series of great football games, two of which have gone to overtime. And, we know that it'll be an absolute battle. I think Coach Diaco has done a fantastic job of building that team in his image. They're a big, strong, physical team. They're gonna play great defense. We have a lot of respect for them. Byron Jones at corner is an outstanding player. Van at linebacker is really a good player. Their front is all physical. Campeni, really anchors the middle. So we know that we have our work cut out for us to try to move the ball against that defense. Offensively, we're preparing that they're going to come out and run the football and really try to grind us up and take shots to Jeremy Davis down the field, who is probably the best receiver in the league. So, we're prepared for a battle, prepared for a game that probably end up going into overtime, and hopefully we'll play well when the moment comes.
Take questions for Coach Matt Rhule, please. *1 on your telephone to join the queue, and then the operator will introduce you.
And we will take our first question from John DeCarlo with OwlScoop.com.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Hey, John.
Hey, is this a game where you don't have to do too much motivating with the guys because of what happened last year with you guys losing that 21-point lead? Is that enough to kind of, if they weren't ready enough for their first conference game, is that in the conversation a lot just based off what happened last year?
I try to do a good job of really not talking about anything that happened in the past. Really last year, I know that they know it. I know that they remember it. And, I think the big thing that, globally, it's every game that we play together, except for the 1 year, that they won the Big East. We got to have kind of a convincing victory. But every game, whether it was the replay game, the monsoon game that we played here, the game 2 years ago with Steve where they won in overtime, or last year, every game's kind of comes down to the end. So, there's just so much familiarity. Our players know their players. We all recruit the same kids. We're so close to each other that I know our kids are always ready, and excited to play this game. So I don't feel like I have to say anything about last year. I mean, they know what happened, and that was addressed in the off season. And now we're just trying to make sure that we kind of play the way we can play.
I wanted to ask you about PJ too. I know you said he could play better. Does he need to kind of get out of the pocket and throw off the run a little bit more, or are some of those plays called and he's just staying in the pocket more? Is that part of maybe what needs to get him going that'll help him play better?
No, I think I think he hasn't played a lot yet. He hasn't gotten in a rhythm. He played really a half to 3/4 against Vanderbilt, right? We're really run the ball. We're in control of the game. Against Navy, there was some. He kind of got hot in the middle of the game and towards the end of the game, and I thought he had a chance to go win that game for us. And then this week, he only played a couple series. So I think the biggest thing for him is just not to turn the ball over with silly interceptions. You take that away. He takes us right down the field. We score. He hits Jalen on the deep touchdown across the field. He hits Kenny in the end zone. So I think he's doing a lot of good things. My frustration right now is simply him throwing interceptions. To be as hobbled as he was last week and kind of limping around and not practice for a week and then come out there and lead his team to a win. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's playing hard. He's doing what's asked. I just want him to limit the turnovers.
Mm-hmm. How are you guys doing health-wise? I know you said Wells is still a bit far off, but what about some of the other guys on the team, like Brian Carter and anybody else who was banged up?
Brian played Saturday. He hasn't played a lot yet, so he's still sort of in a backup role. He's not going to play a ton right now, but he's getting better. But other than that, most of our guys are starting to get healthy. Wells is still out and will be out for a while. Nate L. Smith is still pretty banged up. He didn't play on Saturday. So, our safeties are still maybe an area of concern, but the rest of the guys, they're kind of all getting healthy, and a lot of them played through injury, which is which is a sign of them maturing, and hopefully they'll get healthier this week.
Last question I had for you, and you kind of hinted at it already. With the exception of the Navy game, your starters were out after a half Saturday. You had a chance to rest them against Vanderbilt. Is it kind of hard to really get into a rhythm offensively, because all three of these games have been very, very distinctly different in all sorts of different forms, and it kind of uneven? The defense and the special teams kind of set the tone for you Saturday before you needed to even really sustain any drives. Has it kind of been a weird situation in terms of trying to build any rhythm offensively because of how the schedule's gone and how the games have gone?
Yeah, Saturday was just unique. It's a good problem. It was as difficult as anything I've ever been around to be really not have played an offensive snap or thrown a pass, and you're up 21-0. So, in terms of getting in the rhythm, our kids were kind of running wind sprints on the sidelines, trying to keep themselves loose. So, I think that was good. It made you understand what it feels like to, have to go out there cold and go play. So, that won't be the case, much longer. We'll have to play, we'll have to play 5 quarters this week, and so our kids will, that's what they've been training for. So hopefully they're ready for it.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
We'll take our next question from Dan Tortora with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media.
Hi, Coach. How you doing today?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Kind of wanted to go looking at the season. You talked a little bit about, obviously offensively and what your quarterback's been doing and limiting turnovers. But on the defensive side, when you've won games, you won big. That Navy game, you lost by a touchdown, and obviously that was a closer game. What are you seeing defensively when you say they're not flying off the ball and really having this swagger? What do you think it's because of, that they can do it in practice maybe, but they're not doing it in a game?
Just confidence, confidence and experience. You come out in the game, you're all pumped up. You come off the football, the guy moves, he swims you. You're gonna have a bad play here or there. And as you get older, you kind of stand up and you say, "Okay, I got you." And you come out and you keep flying off the football. Our kids, they're still a little bit younger, and when that happens, it kind of causes them to freeze, catch, wait, make sure they don't mess up. And that's just not how we play at Temple. We're not about not messing up. We're about playing. It's just a game. Just go fly off the ball and play. And so I just think it's confidence, and I think it's just, continuing to tell the kids we believe in them, we know they can do it, and eventually they're going to do it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
We'll take our next question from John Mitchell from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
What's going on?
Not much. Listen, can you talk a little bit about what you saw out of David Hood, particularly in that, obviously in the fourth quarter when you put him in the game?
Yeah, for his first college game, he showed that he could take a hit. He didn't fumble the football. I thought he had a nice burst, that looked, I thought, I know the defense maybe was a little bit more worn down, but he was playing at a different speed. So, as he continues to mature, there's a lot of things he still has to prove that he can handle. But I think he's going to have a really good career, and he'll help us a ton this year. He's going to have to help us a little bit on some special teams right now as he, continues to develop into a role. But I was pleased with what he did, and I thought he gave us a flash here and there.
How much? You've got a lot of guys who aren't, doing some slashing for you. Jamie Gilmore, Jahad Thomas. What is that? Are you still looking for that bell cow, or are you kind of settled on the fact that you've just got multiple guys who can do some things for you in the backfield?
Yeah, we're kind of in the middle. We like a lot of things each guy's doing. Jahad got in there in the second half. He had a couple, medium-sized runs. Jamie did some good things. There just hasn't been one guy that's come in and just taken it and run with it. Took 180 yards and said, "Hey, this is my job." And so, and that they're not really big guys except for Kenny. So it's not like they're, you sit there and let them, take a big beating, because they're all kind of smaller, slashing back. So, they're all kind of fill roles. We're trying, the great thing is we have great competition in practice to see who'll start every week, who's going to get most of the carries. And it started this morning and again tomorrow and Wednesday. So right now we're kind of in that middle ground where we're not sure really who's going to carry each week. They have to battle it out.
Thanks, Matt.
We'll take our next question from Paul Doyle with the Hartford Courant.
Hi, Coach. I wanted to ask you about Tyler Medikevich and what kind of a season he's been having, how he's progressed this year, and sort of what does he mean to your defense?
Well, he's the heart and soul of our defense. There, you couldn't coach a better kid. He's a leader. He's selfless. He's a motivator. Whether they're young kids, old kids, he's exactly what you want to build your football program around. And I really like coaching him. He's about all the same things that I am, that our staff is. So, he thought he had a really nice game on Saturday. Early on, he's flying all around the field. I think he's got his instincts and vision are as good as anyone I've been around, and he's working to try to do that play in and play out. So he pushes himself. He's everything you could want.
A lot of attention, paid to him. He's a lot of accolades coming into the season. Have you noticed, any special attention on the field, and how he sort of handle that if that's happened?
Yeah, I think people make sure they get a hat on him. They make sure they block him. But I mean, I think he's used to that. He's a guy that's always, he's a competitor. So I mean, as you play well, your numbers have a tendency to start to go down. Because people are focusing more attention on you. But he's a hustler. He finds a way to get to the ball even when he's been blocked or they send a couple guys his way. So he fights through all that.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Sure.
And we have time for just one more for Coach Rhule, please.
And we'll take our next question from Henry Clay with CBS Radio Sports.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Great. How are you, sir?
On a blowout like that, what does that do? Does that give the team a real swagger that it may not have had going into a game like that?
Well, I think it does a couple things. Number one, I think the biggest thing is it raises the overall morale of the team because everybody gets to play. And we have kids on our team that show up all off season at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they do everything I ask. They push things, they run, they lift, they kill themselves, and they go 2-3 years, and they never get a chance to get on the field and play in a football game. And so to go out and have a chance to get in the game. Now, so they come back this week. There's a little bit more, bounce in their step. There's a little bit more energy in everything that they do, and they deserve that because we push the kids awfully hard here, and those kids deserve to get in the game. So I thought overall team morale was great, and I just think for our guys to go out there and to make plays, to block punts, to return punts, to get turnovers, I think it hopefully builds into our confidence a little bit. And we haven't won a ton in the last 2 years, so to get some wins and to do the right things, hopefully makes us buy in even more to what we're doing.
Thank you much.
Yes, sir.
Coach, we thank you for the time today. We look forward to talking to you again next Monday.